We've had an amazing recovery over the last few days in a lot of the big seven stocks. Nvidia is up 6%, Google is up, Meta is up, even Amazon. Amazon stock never goes up. It's up 12% over the last few days. Meta is up. All of them are up except one stock, which I'm going to talk about in today's video. I believe it's one of the last ones standing, that it's not really participating in the rally, and it could potentially participate very, very soon. I think it's one announcement away from participating. So I'm excited to talk about it, and I really hope you enjoy it as always. Now, this stock is Microsoft. Microsoft is down 21.6% year to date. The stock has been absolutely getting killed. And what's really funny to me is that the market and the algorithms in general, they're selling Microsoft with IGV. IGV is a software ETF, which has a very high correlation to Microsoft, about a 98% correlation. So whenever Anthropic launches a new model, any kind of model, it doesn't even affect the business model of Microsoft. Microsoft goes down. Why? Because IGV went down. And the algorithms, they pretty much sell them together, which to me is really, really funny, given the fact that Microsoft has an amazing cloud business and so many AI beneficiary-related businesses. But I believe Microsoft is one announcement away from breaking away from IGV. Now, if you look at Meta, Meta is up like 11% over the last few days. Meta was considered an AI loser because they're spending all this capex and they're getting no returns. Now, very recently, Meta launched a new AI model. So they actually took the capex and they launched something. Maybe the model is no good. We still don't know if people will like it, they won't like it, if they will use it, or we don't know anything. Based on this alone, the stock went up 11%. So I personally believe that the market doesn't really care as much as people believe on capex. They mostly care about the results of this capex. They saw results from Meta, even though maybe it's terrible, but the stock went up on this news. I believe Microsoft is one announcement away from breaking out of IGV and for the stock to start trading on its own fundamentals. Now, if you look at Microsoft, they have so many businesses, and I'm going to talk about each one of them in today's video. The first one is Microsoft Azure, which is the second largest cloud provider in the world with a 21% market share. Now, if you're the second largest cloud provider in the world, what do you believe they're growing at? Maybe they're growing 10 or 15% in Azure because they're so mature and they're so big. Well, it's not even close to that. Microsoft Azure is still growing a whopping 38%. Their lowest quarterly growth was 31%, and now they're growing 38%. For context, AWS was growing 18%. Azure is the second largest and is growing 38%. So this is really amazing execution and amazing business for Microsoft Azure. And this business is going to grow much more, with the cloud computing market expected to more than triple by 2032 to 2033. Now, if you look at the backlog of Microsoft, the company's RPO has almost doubled from 400 billion, around 600 billion, so it went up 50%. This is a massive increase for backlog, which is future revenues, but the market didn't really like it because 45% of this backlog is tied to OpenAI, but the 65% of it is not tied to OpenAI, and this 65% is growing 28% year on year. So let's say OpenAI goes to zero, Microsoft Azure would still be fine. They would still have like $250, $300 billion of the backlog that they can use. And this backlog is growing 28% thanks to partnerships with Anthropic and other kind of companies that need some cloud computing, and they're partnering with Azure. So I think Microsoft is not really just an open AI story like it was, especially if you look at the multiple, where the multiple is trading lower than when they actually launched OpenAI, which is very, very ironic. Now, the second one, which is mainly Microsoft 365, they're still growing 365 really, really well. They're generating about $24 billion in revenues over the last quarter. Now, there's a lot of bearish people that believe AI will kill Microsoft 365. But an article from Morningstar, they actually disagree with that. And I'd love to read to you what they have to say. They said Microsoft is also shifting its traditional on-premises product to become cloud-based software as a service solution. So that meaning instead of you installing the software on your own computer, kind of just like how you use Gmail or how you use something else, you could use it on the cloud on Microsoft Azure. Office 365 retains its virtual monopoly in office productivity software, which we do not expect to change in the foreseeable future. Customers will continue to drive the transition from on premises to cloud solutions, and revenue growth will remain robust, with margins continue to improve for the next several years. So, if you're a Microsoft Azure customer, you can get those products on the cloud, and that would make it much more efficient for the company, and it would make it much more sticky and much more AI proof than what a lot of people believe. Now, what about Copilot? Copilot is kind of Microsoft's own AI model. It's really no good. No one wants the product, and people make fun of it on X that they're trying to offer it to you and trying to give it to you, but no one just wants it because it's like old school and people don't like it. They like using Claude and they like using ChatGPT, but no one wants to use Copilot. And the company is getting a lot of criticism on Copilot because out of all the seats they have, they only sold Copilot to 15 million, which is like a 4% penetration rate, which is really, really low for the total customers of Microsoft 365 and Microsoft in general. Now, the CEO, he's trying to innovate. He came up with a new model called Critique, which mainly enables the models to use answers from other models. So if you want to use, let's say, Claude within the companies, you could actually do that. But a lot of people, again, don't like it, and they're still judging the company in general. I personally would not really bet against the company. I think they really messed up with the Copilot. I think it will improve. And I really optimistic about it, mainly because of the, you could say, bundling effects that Microsoft actually possesses. And this is something that Chris Hohn said on Microsoft. He said there's a lot of power in incumbency. Microsoft won that battle because they had the installed base, which is the incumbency. And he gave an example on Microsoft Teams, how Microsoft Teams was able to kill Zoom because everyone was using Microsoft products. So Microsoft said, hey, we'll just give you Teams for free. And Teams has pretty much killed Zoom. Why? Because Microsoft has the people, they have the installed base, and based on this installed base, they can cross-sell a lot of different products. And I think it's going to be the same thing with Copilot, and it will likely be a success over the long term. He said this is what the market may be underestimating, which is Microsoft's bundling strategy isn't just a pricing tactic, it's a moat multiplier, especially when you already live inside the workflow of hundreds of millions of enterprise users like Word, Excel, Outlook, Teams, Azure, or the cybersecurity business, which not a lot of people talk about. So I believe because of the stickiness and the incumbency of Microsoft, Microsoft has a real edge within Copilot and within AI, but they just have to innovate a little bit more. And they have a good CEO and they have a lot of money. So I would not really bet against Microsoft in this regard. Now, what about OpenAI? People love to judge OpenAI within Microsoft, but Microsoft owns 26% of OpenAI. They made a 17x return on this investment, 17x. So around 215 billion from OpenAI alone. This is pretty nice if you ask me. And if it does go public, maybe Microsoft can take some profits on that and use it for other things. 215 billion is not bad at all. And again, Microsoft was a success and it will continue to be a success without OpenAI. And based on where the valuation is, I still believe that it's trading below where OpenAI launched. And I think a lot of the bad is priced in. And by the way, I'm using Fiscal.ai to come up with the charts if you want to try it out. They give you 2 weeks of free access if you use my link in the description. But I believe Microsoft is undervalued here at 21 times forward earnings, growing earnings about 22%, expected to grow 13%, 18%. I mean, I don't know if Microsoft will get to 15 or 16 times. It's trading pretty close to where Meta is trading at. And Meta is an advertisement business, so it's more cyclical. Microsoft's all recurring revenue. So again, the valuation doesn't make any sense. I believe the stock is one announcement away from potentially breaking out of this IGV correlation and for the stock to start trading on its own. I bought Microsoft this year. It was my first time owning the stock. I've wanted to own it for a while, but it was too expensive, and now it's finally near my fair value. So I own a position, and I plan to add a little bit more over the long term. And that's my opinion on Microsoft. Hope you enjoyed it. It was not financial advice. If you did enjoy it, please press the like button and maybe consider subscribing. So I'll talk to you in another video.